I brought this. This is the Blue Cliff record. A lot of you are doing koans, and a lot of you will. And the first two koans in the Blue Cliff record are interesting ones. And I'm not going to go into the real kind of complete depth of them, but rather use them to talk about something. One I've mentioned to you all before. The first one has to do with Bodhidharma, who brought Zen from India to China. And he, just to paraphrase it kind of, he has an interview with the emperor of China. And the emperor, and this is a big deal because you kind of don't mess with the emperor. And they weren't, you know, in those days if you offended the emperor, it's not like you had a long trial. They just kind of hacked you to pieces. And so the emperor has invited Bodhidharma, and he's very happy about all this, to see this patriarch. And he kind of says to him, he tells him about all the things he's done. But he also asks him a question. He says, what is the highest meaning of the holy truths? So what's going on at this time is that Buddhism is new in China, and there's a lot of competing religions, the main one being Confucianism, but also Taoism. And because this emperor supports Buddhism, he thinks that Bodhidharma will be very happy with him. And Bodhidharma really doesn't care much, because it's kind of for him like some politician today saying that they support what you're doing, and you know they're just doing it for political reasons. They're not, and they may not even understand what they're supporting. But so he uses the word holy, which doesn't really apply to the Buddhist teachings, and Bodhidharma right away says, nothing holy, vast emptiness, and nothing holy. That's his answer to the highest meanings of the holy truths. And then the emperor gets a little bit upset with him and says, who is this standing before me saying this? Kind of like you might say, well, you kind of contradicted me, which you don't do with the emperor that much. And who are you to, you know, who are you anyway? You know, and Bodhidharma says, I don't know. And he turns around and leaves. And so now the third koan, okay, the same collection. In the third koan, the teacher, Master Ma, is his name, Matsu, I guess, is unwell. And the temple superintendent, who's a student, says, teacher, how has your venerable health been in recent days? Now they know he's really sick. And the temple superintendent, I think, would be like, I'm not familiar enough with the Christian structure, but I think it'd be like the prior. And so he's asking him how he is, and he says, sun-faced Buddha, moon-faced Buddha. Same thing is kind of going on here. The student is saying, showing concern for the fact that Matsu may die pretty soon. And a sun-faced Buddha is something that lives for as long as the sun or something, you know, 1,000 years, thousands of years. A moon-faced Buddha in their lore lives for only a day and a night. And what he's saying to him is, it doesn't matter, if we just put it into English, it doesn't matter if you live for 1,000,000 years or you live for a day, it's the same thing. You're manifesting the nature of the universe, the awakened nature. Time is not an issue. So in both of these cases, somebody is coming at one of these teachers with an assumed understanding of things, and the teacher is taking it away. And if you look at the koans and the lore of Zen in general, you'll see this is what happens all the time. Now what's important about this is that I think it's our habit to assume that the way we're going to get happier or whatever it is we want to do is going to be by knowing more, by understanding more. And of course there is nothing wrong with that. We do need to understand more about many things. But I think a deep question that we all can ask is, when it comes to very deep things like being happy or content or one with your life, has knowing more really helped so far? And some of you have been around, all of you have been around at least, 25 years. So if it, as I always say to you, if it didn't work by now, why believe it's going to work? And I'll tell you why. I never answer that question. I want to answer why. Because we don't like ourselves, so we think that if it hasn't worked, yeah, it's just because we're dumb schmucks. See, or we didn't try hard, which is another way of doing the same thing to yourself. So it's not that it doesn't work in our minds to know more, it's just that we don't work. So we can try looking at it the other way, that we're doing fine, we're humans doing the best we can, but that method of knowing just doesn't work in that way. So let's take what Master Ma says, yeah? He's saying to you, well, so we know, for example, the society, if more is not better, then nobody can sell you anything, including life itself, health itself. If more is not better in life, if it's just as good to die at 33 as it is to die at 93, if you don't know that it's so much better to die at 93, that changes everything. See, if you don't know that you'll be happier if you have more of this or more of that, or you find this or you find that, it changes everything. If you, as in the case of the first koan, like if you're not looking for the highest of the holy truths and spending $1 zillion like the emperor is, building temples to make himself feel better, if you don't know, so what does it mean? What is the value of not knowing? It's really big. Because what we know is what we really base our thoughts and our actions on.